All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you again for joining us today for a 15 minutes with Beeswax. Today, we're going to do another programmatic 101, this time on line item troubleshooting. Before digging in, let's do a quick round of introductions. If you joined any of these in the past couple of months, you might know me already. My name's Albert. I work in product marketing for Beeswax, and joining me today is Tyler Dalemans, one of our senior product managers here at Beeswax. He's responsible for our data platforms and engineering team. So if you worked with Beeswax before, you've used our analytics products, reporting products, and you liked any of them, Tyler is largely the driving force behind them. So what are we talking about today? Today we'll cover 10 common line item delivery issues and solutions. I'll cover that real quick. Before we dig into the meat of today's webinar, and what I assume several of you are here for today, the bid decision flow demo. And after that, we'll close with a little bit of Q&A. So let's dive in. The first thing that we'll be talking about is common delivery issues that are related to line item or campaign setup. And the first one's very straightforward. If your campaign or line item is inactive or paused, it's not going to deliver. So make sure that both your campaign and line item are active. And checking at the campaign level is something we'll be touching on a couple different times during this particular section of the presentation. And that's because campaigns supersede line items. So if a campaign is stopped or if the campaign has run out of budget or something, that affects all the line items underneath it. So a good example of this is actually the very next item we'll be talking about, which is when a line item is outside of a designated start or end date or flight window. And you'll notice it says right here, double check these at both the line item and campaign levels, because even if the end date for the line item has not been reached yet, if the campaign's end date has been hit, it'll treat all the line items underneath it as though they should have ended. Also worth touching on flight dates for a second. In Beeswax, flight dates can't actually overlap. So that's definitely something to look into to make sure that that is not a reason why a line item is not delivering. That said, I do want to note that this probably wouldn't happen in the Beeswax UI because we do have an alert that prevents flight dates from overlapping. But if this is an issue you might experience in another system, it's something worth keeping in mind. The final reason why, the final setup issue that you might experience with regards to line item delivery is that not all campaign line items have pacing applied. If you have pacing applied to one line item, you want to ensure that pacing is applied to all line items. Otherwise, the line items that do not have pacing applied will generally take priority and starve out delivery of the other line items. So let's talk about issues related to targeting. The first one seems very straightforward, right? If the targeting criteria is too similar, just change the targeting criteria. But sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you want to target two offers to the same audience. And this is an issue that kind of typically occurs when both the targeting criteria are the same, the creative sizes are the same, and they're both using flat CPM bidding. In this scenario, the line item with the higher CPM bid will probably always win. So two ways to work around that without changing the targeting or changing the creative sizes or adding new creative sizes is simply by applying pacing or adding frequency caps. When you apply pacing, there's a degree of randomization as to which line item serves according to the pacing algorithm. And with frequency caps, when one line item hits the frequency cap, the next item will start to serve. Another reason why targeting affects line item delivery is because the targeting criteria is too restrictive. So if, for example, you were looking for people that needed plumbers on the east side of London with north-facing houses, odds are very good that line item won't deliver very much because the audience is just so niche. So always make sure to double check your audience sizes when you're executing a line item, or excuse me, executing a campaign and the line items associated with that campaign. And also in that same vein, ensure all segments have active users. If you're targeting a segment with 0 users, probably not going to get a lot of scale there. Something else that we want to highlight with specific regard to private deals is that frequently the incorrect deal ID can be input. And if the incorrect deal ID is input, you will neither get bid requests for that private deal nor be able to send them back. So always double check to make sure that your deal IDs have been input correctly. Finally, let's talk about possible delivery issues as they relate to spend and creative settings. If, for example, you are receiving bid requests, but you're not winning or you're not delivering, the issue is generally fairly straightforward. It's because your CPMs are too low. Increase those CPMs and see if that helps. Otherwise, another reason why a line item might not be delivering, even though you're receiving bid requests, is because you've hit budget caps. So again, here's where it's important to double check at the campaign and line item levels, make sure that those lifetime budgets still have fuel in the tank, and increase them if necessary to continue delivery. Next, talk about a couple creative settings that might affect delivery. And the first is just going to be something like if you're receiving bid requests from some exchanges, but not all exchanges, it's likely because the creative that you've submitted does not meet that particular exchange's acceptance criteria. So always make sure to double check an exchange's acceptance criteria if you're running on that exchange. For example, some exchanges require thumbnails alongside their creative, but not all do. So definitely reach out to your DSP account teams if these issues persist, and they'll help get you sorted. In that same vein, with regard to acceptance criteria, sometimes your creative might not be accepted because the creative is not secure or the secure attribute isn't properly set. And in today's day and age of data privacy and all these regulations coming along, it behooves us all to make sure that all the creatives are secure, and that is increasingly becoming a more common requirement among exchanges as well. So those are some common issues with line item deliveries. Now I'm going to turn the floor over to Tyler to talk through our bid decision flow.
Thanks, Albert. So as Albert mentioned at the top, I'm Tyler. I work on the product team here, primarily on our data and reporting products. And I'm really excited to talk about bid decision flow, which is a tool that I think a lot of customers have been asking for a while. I was really excited to have the chance to work on it and ready to show you guys a little bit of what it can do. So to start, just to give a brief overview before I hop into actually showing the demo of the product, bid decision flow is effectively a diagnostics tool that we've built. It's a visualization of a flow diagram that just shows the evaluation of bids that flow through our system and the decisions we make whether to make a bid or whether to drop at any given stage. The tool is really designed for you to do self-service troubleshooting and understanding why a line item might not be bidding on given auctions. So that's kind of a brief overview. Let me actually just go ahead and hop right into it, which is, you'll see here, I'm in Buzz. So line item page, when I click into a line item, what you'll find is, as of last week, when we released this new feature, there's a new tab called Analytics. And when you click in, the thing you'll see is the bid decision flow diagram. And you'll notice there are 7 different steps of evaluation. And as I mentioned a minute ago, basically we'll show the flow left to right of the decisions we've made. So let me talk a little bit about what these checkpoints within our evaluation process are. Some of them may be pretty intuitive, but I'll run through it regardless. So first up, we got targeting. So obviously you got your bidder's receiving subset of all the traffic in the world that you can get. You've picked, you've worked with your CSM team to pick the traffic that's relevant to you. And then on your lines, you're going to set up targeting, but not all of that targeting is going to match every single auction coming to your bidder. So clear first drop off will be, you won't have targeting match for this line item. Next up, very similar, creative match. So let's say you're getting a bunch of banner traffic to your bidder. The creative associated with the line is a 300 by 250 banner ad. Obviously, some of that traffic will match, and then a bunch of it won't match, just due to the fact that you can't traffic 300 by 250 on all the auctions that you're receiving. Next up, frequency cap. So a lot of customers love to use frequency capping, make sure a user's not seeing a bunch of ads more than n times. If you've asked Beeswax to enforce this on your behalf, we'll choose not to bid at this stage in the funnel, and you can see when we drop off there. Pacing, you'll see this line doesn't have pacing applied because 100% of it passes at this step. But obviously, if you've used pacing in our system to make sure that you're pacing evenly, either throughout the day or the lifetime, you will see the bids that drop off at this step as a result of us making sure that you're pacing evenly. Bidding agent, this is more relevant for customers who are using our bidding agent functionality, but this can be useful if you have a bidding agent installed. You want to see where your bidding agent for a given line is choosing to drop off. And you'll see here the breakdown of when your bidding agent is choosing to bid versus not bid. Budget, also pretty clear, hopefully. Most lines have a budget. In fact, I think all lines have a budget. And if you've met the budget for either the day or the lifetime of the line, then you'll see drop off here. And you can actually see, I've set a very low budget for today. It's already hit its budget. So actually everything in the last hour has been not bidding at this stage of the funnel. Last thing to note is post-processing. And post-processing is admittedly a bit of a confusing category. It's really the catch-all category in our system. So this could be, well, the most common issue is actually if you have multiple lines that are all bidding on the same auction, we actually do an internal check and just take the highest bid of your own auctions before submitting to the exchange. And so that will actually get enforced here in post-processing. Other than that, this could actually reflect, we hope it's rare, we think it's going to be rare, but this could reflect an issue in the engineering nature of our system. So if you see high post-processing values here, great to file a support ticket, check with your CSM team, make sure everything's healthy and going well. As I went through this, you may have noticed I'm able to collapse the columns. And so basically what you'll see is obviously this bidder is getting a lot of traffic. If you really want to zoom in and see the proportions better, what we've allowed you to do is collapse each column one at a time. So if I want to hide targeting, I can zoom into this 40,000 targeting match, and then you'll see now I have this view of just the 40,000 that were downstream of that step. And I can kind of keep going indefinitely. Other thing to note is we allow you to pick from multiple time ranges. Obviously, this can be very useful for you. You come in here, you see there's a lot of traffic not targeting match. You want to come in and make some changes, make it so the targeting's more open so that you match more traffic. Within an hour, you should be able to come in and change this and see how it affects your overall sort of evaluation of bids flowing to a line. And you can see you can go anywhere from 30 minutes to 72 hours. And I just switched to 6 hours here. If I go to 24, since this does have a daily budget, you should see, maybe I have to go back farther, but you should see some successful bids, when bids are actually occurring. And yeah, that's really the feature. We hope it's pretty intuitive. Really hope it helps out a lot of customers and makes it a lot simpler to actually understand what's going on with lines, when they're bidding, when they're not bidding, and how you can address those issues. And with that, I will hop back to the presentation and open it up for Q&A.
Thanks, Tyler. If anyone has any questions, please use that Q&A function in that lower right-hand corner. And we do have the first question, and it is very straightforward. How do we get bid decision flow active for our account?
I believe for all customers, it actually should be enabled. There's no special setting you need to do. If you go into a line item today, that analytics tab should be available to you. If you find it's not, please reach out to our support team. But last week, this became actually available to all customers.
I see a raised hand. If possible, would you mind using our Q&A function in the lower right-hand corner? In the meantime, a second question has popped in. Is the targeting section included if we lost out because our bids were too low?
Yes, it is, because that evaluation happens later after the, if we're talking about in the case of a bid floor, I believe that is the case, yes. You should still be able to see the targeting section included.
Gotcha. And I believe that another way to diagnose if you're losing out because bids are too low is just by using the real-time bidding stats function within the overview section as well. So that is definitely an option that's available to you. So we have a quick follow-up question here, and it is, can we have the bid decision, does bid decisioning operate at the campaign level as well?
Right now, it operates at the line item level only, but it's something we're interested in looking into. And again, if this is really useful, please reach out to your CSM and bring feedback to me and my team, and we'll definitely consider it as an improvement.
Another question is this tool something that we can reveal through our app to our own customers so they can troubleshoot themselves?
So right now, this is not something that's like there's no API component for this. There's no way to embed this. If you're embedded, let me be clear. If you're a white label customer, this is available to your customers if you're using the Beeswax white labeling functionality. Right now, there's similar to Am I Bidding Winning, there's not like an API component to this. And in fact, that's probably the most analogous feature. So like if you're trying to do, take this and put this into your own application, right now, this isn't something that's functionally possible. But again, please reach out to your CSM team, and we take your feedback pretty seriously. We want to make the improvements that are useful for you.
All right, those are all the questions we have for now. I'm gonna open up a last call for questions. If you have any other questions left, please ask them now. Oh wait, one more question, sorry. Slid in, we got you. Last question is there any way to get a troubleshooting for standard bidding strategies?
So maybe this is what we're talking about. So like right now, those high level reasons are what we support. However, this is a product that we're already beginning to consider like how we can dive into like specific, targeting reasons, specific bidding strategies, etc. So right now, I don't believe that's supported, if I'm understanding your question correctly. But we are looking into improvements into the product. So again, not to beat the dead horse, but especially since this is so new, we're really interested in folks' feedback and how we can improve the product. So please let us know what's important to you.
Fantastic. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you guys sticking around, and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.